the shadows, down low. You don't know what I'm going through, don't know what I'm going through. It's down low, down low. You don't know what I'm going through, don't know what I'm going.
Yo, welcome back TPL Nation for another draft analysis video. This one we actually got a new coach. I got the Empoleon Emperors on deck next, and their coach film up. So their team is very strong. They inherited Kamish's team from the Dallas Mudsdales last season, and then added on some more threats to it. So let's just dive right in. So the first threat on this laundry list is Volcarona here. And Volcarona got a heck of a buff this gen with the heavy duty boots being added. No surprise there. It doesn't have to worry about stealth rocks anymore coming in and taking half. So it's a very threatening Pokemon. Fiery Dance, Bug Buzz, Quiver Dance, and Roost. You don't really need anything else. That's kind of like the main premier set. I mean, you could switch out Roost for something else, but Volcarona getting the chance to roost off the damage just might come into play more than you think. Obviously, you could switch it out for something like Giga Drain, get a little extra HP back. So it does have that option available to it. As we move through, we do see some other options it has. Morning Sun, some screens, but you're not going to run any of this. You got Psychic, Tailwind, but you know you're not going to run any of this stuff. Will-O-Wisp could be interesting. We'll move right along. Nothing crazy. I did see the Aerial Ace, so it does get flying coverage for maybe a Dynamax, so that could be interesting. But you know, Volcarona just going to keep doing what it does best, and then now it doesn't have to worry about rocks. So Volcarona is a super scary Pokemon. I remember I had to prep for this thing, and I thought I prepped so well, and then it still ended up being a problem. I think this thing got like 2 or 3 kills on my team, and it sucked because I was trying to pick up the kill with Empoleon. I think I missed the kill just by that much, and then this thing just tore through me. But yeah, this thing can be a big issue. To be honest, you probably would just run Giga Drain over the Roost, because it gets good damage back. You get half your damage back. But if you're firing off a Giga Drain and you're at like +1 or +2, you're going to get a decent chunk of health back if your opponent doesn't resist Giga Drain. So as we move on to another threat, we have probably the premier Dynamaxer for Film Up's team here, the Excadrill. Now, Excadrill is a very good Pokemon that can basically set up its own weather, just like a Pokemon like Barraskewda, and I feel like you have to give like the extra edge to these Dynamax Pokemon that don't need to rely on something like Max Airstream or something like that. They can hit you really hard with a different move like Max Rockfall, set up their own weather, and then continue to just run through you. But Excadrill is honestly a special case. I threw Life Orb on it for a good Dynamax item, but also it has Rapid Spin. Now, if you guys don't know, Rapid Spin got up to 50 base power this gen, and I feel like that's really strong actually for something that's just supposed to clear hazards. Like, imagine if Defog did like 50 base damage. Rapid Spin's really good because it can do some pretty decent damage while also boosting Excadrill's speed. That's another bonus it got. You know, it's an automatic +1 speed. So as we see from the Sand Rush combo, when Excadrill starts getting fast, that's usually when teams just start falling over. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing handles this season. But I'm predicting it's going to be it definitely has the potential to be a kill leader. Absolutely. Excadrill, very, very strong Pokemon, and now with its ability to set up its own sand, hey, we could be in trouble this season, I'm very real. Alright, we're going to move on to Corviknight here. I really like Corviknight as a good defensive wall, and if you notice a specific set on it, I actually have Electric Seed for the Tapu Koko that we'll cover in a little bit. But I think Electric Seed's super dope on this Pokemon because It comes out under the terrain, gives it the +1 defense boost, and you're already got a leg up on to start iron defensing and body pressing your opponent to death. So that's a pretty cool combo I like. And I think it's cool that it can run Electric Seed on it, because to me the premier item is probably Leftovers, but since we do run Item Clause in this league, I think Item Clause is more specific to be used by Vaporeon. Could get some more mileage from Vaporeon using it, just because Corviknight can roost off the damage a little bit easier than Vaporeon can, because Vaporeon obviously would have to rely on something like Wish Protect. I don't know why it took me so long to think, but yeah, something like Wish Protect. And so obviously I think being able to save your Leftovers for Vaporeon is super important. So the Electric Seed ability is there for the Tapu Koko, and honestly, you could run that on Excadrill, you could run it on Volcarona. You know, it could be an interchangeable item with anything on your team, but I love it on Corviknight because of that Iron Defense Body Press set. And then as we move through, we all know pretty much what Corviknight does, but it does get access to Bulk Up, it does get access to Defog, very good moves. As we just scroll through, we see Iron Head, of course. It gets Screens. Maybe he could run a Screens Corviknight. That would be a very interesting. As we keep going, Tailwind support is very good, and I feel like on this team, if you give this team extra speed, dude, it's so good. It's so good. U-turn for momentum's good. Taunt is good for stalling out some walls there. As we keep moving down, you know, not a whole bunch to add to that set, but it's not a whole lot it needs. I guess Power Trip could be kind of like a niche set depending on what it does. I mean, Power Trip, Electric Seed, you could see that. I mean, it's already coming out with 1 boost, so Power Trip's going to go up to 40 base damage, get Iron Defense, it's 80. You know, it might not stack up as normal, and I doubt we'll see Power Trip on like week to week, but you know, it's an extra weapon in the bag. You know, Sky Attack's interesting. Maybe run a Power Herb Sky Attack on Corviknight, maybe more offensive Corviknight. That would be interesting to see. That's for sure. But that's going to be about it for Corviknight. You know, it's pretty good at taking hits. It's arguably a better Skarmory. So I do like Corviknight because it's a little bit more offensive than Skarmory is, in my opinion. It can set up on people and sweep through teams sometimes. And while it is niche, but it does have that option for it. Now, as we move on to Vaporeon, I think Vaporeon is a really good support Pokemon and a really good Pokemon at just tanking hits, wish passing to your other Pokemon. A really nice support mon. It gives them a water immunity with Water Absorb here. They can pack the Leftovers from some extra healing. Scald and Ice Beam, pretty good moves all in all there to fish for some burns. Ice Beam maybe to pick up some freezes. You know, Vaporeon just there to eat some hits and probably wish pass to other Pokemon on the team. And as we look through its moveset, it does have kind of like a strange moveset, but it's got quite a few good options that it can use. It does get Haze, Flip Turn this gen could be interesting. Heal Bell's always nice. Hydro Pump if you want some extra damage. Screens could be interesting. Roar, in case you're worried about something setting up on Vaporeon, you could run Roar as well, which could be good because I could definitely see Vaporeon potentially being some setup fodder. But as we keep scrolling through here, we see more of just some interesting niche moves. I definitely say Substitute. I doubt it would come up, but it could. Shadow Ball's interesting if you want the right coverage. Toxic could be good to try to Toxic stall your opponent, do a little Umbreon shenanigans. Weather Ball could be nice in the right terrain. It does have Yawn to force opponents to switch or put stuff to sleep, so that's nice. Baby Doll Eyes to lower the attack. While it's not as good as Charm, it could come up in the situation if you're trying to stop an opponent's offensive Dynamax. Actually, it does have Charm, so forget what I just said about Baby Doll Eyes. That's what's up. And as we move down through, nothing really that I see super useful for it. I do remember, doesn't it? Yeah, it does get acid armor, so that's a setup option for it if it wants to get really defensive. As we go down through, nothing too much. Icy Wind's always nice. That's just about it, I think. It does get like some niche weather options and Sunny Day and probably Rain Dance as well. But that's just about it for Vaporeon. It's more like defensive, just here to take hits. And then we look at their first round draft pick, I believe, is the Tapu Koko. Now, Tapu Koko is really good, versatile Pokemon. It's not the strongest, but with Electric Surge, all of a sudden those electric moves are going to be powered up quite a bit. And so Tapu Koko is pretty good, and you know, the Surge bringing the ability to stop a lot of status. I believe it stops sleep, and it might stop some other stuff as well. But I honestly can't remember everything that the electric terrain stops. I'm still learning the terrains, if I'll just be honest with you guys. But I like Koko because it can run physical and special sets. I do like the special with the U-turn mix a little bit better. Thunderbolt, Dazzling Gleam. Just because you're not taking a ton of damage from like Wild Charge or anything like that. And you don't have to run Thunderbolt if you want to run Discharge and try to get some paras. I think Discharge has a higher para chance, yeah, 30%, so could be pretty interesting. But as we move down, you do see Acrobatics, Brave Bird. If this thing could Dynamax, it probably would be a serious threat. Keep going, and it gets screens, you know, Hyper Voice could be interesting. Roar, I doubt we'll see that, but it's there. Sub, that could come into play, absolutely. Thunder Wave for a nice crippling, maybe a nice crippling fourth move for Koko to run. Volt Switch over U-turn, that's probably a better thing if I'm running the special set. But to be honest, U-turn can let you get out of there if you're facing ground types. You know, your ground type switches into Koko, U-turn out, and it actually lets you switch out. And then as we move into the not so useful moves, we have stuff like Double Team, we have stuff like Electro Web to slow your opponent down, you have stuff like Electro Ball maybe to get some use out of Tapu Koko's ridiculous speed. Just keep moving down here. Nature's Madness is interesting because it actually lets Koko touch ground types pretty good, you know, just taking out half of their HP. I do like Nature's Madness and Super Fang for that. But to be honest, Koko is pretty much just going to be clicking electric type moves and doing a ton of damage to everything that isn't a ground type. So Koko is super good. The Electric Surge is some really nice coverage to bring, so you can run stuff like Electric Seed. So I definitely do like Koko on this team. And then as we move into another Pokemon, another interesting Pokemon is the Druddigon. So Druddigon can do a few different things. I do like it as sort of a physical wall, just with the Rocky Helmet, Rough Skin. You gotta love combos like that. And then I do have Outrage, Scale Shot, Earthquake, and Superpower on here, but this by no means has to be the moveset. I mean, I know people like to set up rocks with Druddigon, and it's not that fast. It is a little on the bulky side. It does swing a little hard, but you know, as you move through the moveset here, it does get quite a few physical options like Body Slam, Aqua Tail, Crunch, you know, Dragon Claw if you don't want to just fully commit to Outrage. As you keep going, it's got Dragon Tail for a nice phaser that could definitely come into play. Dual Wing Beat, maybe if you just want to break a sub or something like that, you could use that. Earthquake's pretty good. The Elemental Punches is nice. Gunk Shot's good for fairies. You do risk missing, but it's there. Glare is a really good utility option, especially for stopping those crazy Dynamaxes from getting out of hand if Druddigon can live a hit. As you keep moving down, there's some other things that it can use. Roar would be nice for phasing as well. Sludge Bomb, I mean, it's okay. Sucker Punch is nice. Superpower's decent on this Pokemon, I feel. Taunt could come into play. some more punches, and then we roll down into here, and there's not really too much to go off of down here. You do have Night Slash, but I mean Sucker Punch is kind of better unless you really want to try to crit something. Snarl could be interesting to weaken a special attacker, but I doubt we'll see that come out from Druddigon, but it definitely could. It definitely could happen. So Druddigon, not going to do a whole lot, but you know, I feel like it's an okay bulky dragon to just get a little bit of extra damage. Obviously, I feel like in this meta, dragon is not the best defensive typing by any means. We got a lot of fairies and dragons running around, a lot of offensive dragons and fairies with all the Tapus coming into play, and all the sweepers like Salamence, Garchomp, and Dragonite coming into play as well. I feel like that's going to definitely hinder the viability of Druddigon. But as we move along into the last spot here, we do have Gourgeist. Now, I really don't know everything that Gourgeist does, but it's really not all that great. I did come up with just like a little Choice Scarf set, Poltergeist, Seed Bomb, Explosion, and Destiny Bond. I went with Gourgeist small just so you're pretty fast. So I could see this possibly coming out. It does have other interesting moves like Will-O-Wisp, other things you can use. Dark Pulse, but you don't really need to run Dark Pulse. Let's see, as we keep going down, I mean, Flame Charge? Okay, I get it, because it's a Jack-o'-lantern. But as we keep going down, not a whole lot going for it. I mean, it does get screens, it gets Pain Split, but to be honest, this thing's not too bulky. Seed Bomb, well, we already covered that. Rock Slide could be good. Shadow Sneak could be a good option if he wants to run like a slower Gourgeist. Shadow Sneak could definitely come into play there, because the slower ones have the higher attack, I do believe. I think the slowest one with like 55 base speed has like 100 attack, which could be interesting. This Pokemon also is carrying Trick Room, so that is another option for his team, although his team's not the best at abusing Trick Room at all. It does give him an option to take it down against opposing Trick Room. Will-O-Wisp is nice for crippling those offensive threats if he can get that off. As we move down, nothing else too crazy that I see. Grassy Glide could come into play for that Bulu or Rillaboom that are floating out there. But we keep going down, and there's not too much to going for this Pokemon. I think it's just going to be like slightly disruptive. I could definitely see this Pokemon not really coming too often week to week. But that's pretty much all I have for Gourgeist. I don't really know what all it does. So as I look through this team, I look back at this team, and I just see threats upon threats upon threats. Volcarona can sweep, Excadrill can sweep, Corviknight can sweep, Vaporeon can allow sweeps and wish stuff back up to attempt the sweep again. Tapu Koko can hit really hard under the electric terrain. Druddigon's nice because it can set up Stealth Rock and get chip damage on physical attackers. Gourgeist can do a little shenanigan with Destiny Bond, Explosion, Will-O-Wisp, just support stuff like that. So I do really like this team, and I do remember this is one of the teams I lost to last season because it was just so tough dealing with Volcarona, and then there's an Excadrill you have to deal with, and then there's a Corviknight you have to deal with. Like, those three in particular is just really hard to deal with for teams, I feel. So I think all in all, I'm going to give this team an 8, and I know that might seem kind of high, but I just feel like for all these different threats that's on this team, it's a lot to deal with. Like, pretty much this guy just sends out threats after threats after threats, and it can be a lot to deal with. I remember I was trying to battle back from a 1-3 deficit with a Wishy-Washy, and I did narrowly lose 0-1, but that team beat me down. I had to use all my tricks to even attempt to make it a close game with stuff like Volcarona and Excadrill in my way. It's just so tough. So that is going to be it. I'm going to give it a solid grade of 8. I feel like the only way this team can get better is if it improves on what's on the back end, obviously. But You know, that's draft league. You know, you can't have a broken draft all the way through, and I feel like this team is going to be a huge threat for anyone who goes against it. So I'm going to move on to the next video, you guys. I've been Ace Trainer Ryan. Peace.